The Penn Patriot, John Petrolino, and Riding Shotgun with Charlie's Charlie Cook are in the studio.
But first, if you have legal matters that involve firearms, then you need to call California firearms lawyer John Dillon. If you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant, call our trusted firearms attorney John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws at 760-642-7150, or you can visit his website at dillonlawgp.com.
All right, so I'll tell you what. Why don't we kick it off with something that happened last week? Something that happened local, but it's being discussed national, and they keep dredging up the same proposals to try to take our guns away. The County Board of Supervisors, San Diego County Board of Supervisors, which if you don't know what the County Board of Supervisors does, you're not alone. They are, think of the County Board of Supervisors, they're like the city council for the entire county. So there are 5 of them. There are 5 districts in the county, equal, population in each district about. And they make regulations that really affect the county as a whole, but a lot of times they only affect the unincorporated areas. So we have 18 cities. So it's really like Lakeside's unincorporated, but Santee's incorporated. So sometimes they'll pass regulations that would apply just to like Lakeside or Alpine, and not El Cajon and Santee. Mm-hmm. Anyway, here's what they voted for. And this, of course, everybody's favorite, Nathan Fletcher. He and what's her name? Tara
Raymer.
Lawson Raymer. Here's what they're going to do. And this passed 3-2. They're going to have the sheriff's department look at every case where a gun is involved. If they arrest somebody, take a gun off a criminal, whatever. They're going to have the county council, which those are the attorneys for the county. They represent the county. They're going to evaluate each case and possibly recommend a lawsuit against the manufacturer of the gun. They want to participate or possibly file a lawsuit against the manufacturer of the gun that they found on the criminal for whatever reason. They'll make up some stupid angle that won't make any sense to anybody. But here's the twist. At the very end, so Nathan Fletcher and what's her name, Lawson Remmer, they put out a press release, did a press conference, made their rounds on media, did their ridiculous dog and pony show just about manufacturers. And then at the very end, right before they were about to vote, he added that gun shops and gun distributors are also eligible to
be sued.
So every gun shop out there is potentially a target for a lawsuit. Now, the whole point of this, of course, is not to keep people safe. The whole point of this is to bankrupt gun shops, gun distributors, and gun manufacturers, and bully them out of the business of selling to civilians. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, again, that's typical. That's what they do. It's that's not surprising at all. I mean, it's been tried a bunch of times. San Jose has something similar with the insurance requirements.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with public safety. It has nothing to do with crime. It has to do with keeping people, law-abiding citizens from owning guns. I mean, John, you have the same kind of thing. You have the same kind of regime in your home state, and they do similar things. Is that right?
Yep. And just last week, or this week, I guess it would have been, we had some stuff going through the Senate and their Judiciary Committee about the same exact topic, about being able to hold the gun companies, liable for, all their misdeeds, when in reality, nobody wants to go after the elephant in the room, which is the criminal act, or, whatever. So we're dealing with the same stuff in Jersey, and hopefully, we don't get that passed, but we'll see. California and Jersey are kind of strange and similar bedfellows in the sense that they like to pass ridiculous laws that don't do anything for public safety.
Well, and it's interesting, too, these things aren't readily challenged because, you would apply that kind of logic to no other thing at all. If a drunk driver plows into a family and kills a bunch of people and they're driving an F-150, nobody mentions, okay, we should sue Ford for that.
Yeah.
Or that they're drunk. They're not going to sue the alcohol.
Yeah, or the
company.
alcohol manufacturer.
Yeah,
Whatever.
who needs a Ford F-150, you know? I mean, geez.
Have an urban assault vehicle. That's right.
And the big problem with that is, too, when you're dealing with this kind of legislation, if it passes into law, then you have to have an injury claim. Then you have to have all these things to litigate. And
then you got a whole new lawyer group coming up out of the swamp.
Yep. So it's not easy.
Well, and the thing it does, too, is, the state has pretty deep pockets, as does the county. So, they know that a lot of people aren't going to be able to fight it necessarily, unless you get organizations, like I'm sure Firearms Policy Coalition, those guys will jump in here.
We've already talked about it.
But the average person's not going to be able to fight this stuff. And they know that, and they know they can outlast most, organizations and lawsuits. And even if they don't, they get to impose their thing for the years that it takes to work through the courts. And it may or may not, get all the way up to the Supreme Court. If it does, okay, well, we got to have our way for 10 years.
Well, so my theory on this is that, Nathan's diabolical, but he's not unintelligent. And my theory on this whole thing is that this is a PR thing. They put it out there. They get their message out there.
And he knows he's not going to win.
Well, I think that he knows. Most people who are rational thinking and kind of understand the system knows this is not going to stand up in court. There's already federal law. There's already case law. It's not going to stand up in court. But then he gets to say, hey, I did something. And then when it gets struck down in court, he gets to blame the court. Well,
I tried.
Yeah, gee, I'm trying to, kids and well. So it's just a big stupid PR move, and there's no sweat off of his nose.
Mm-mm.
It's our tax money. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think he's legit? Do you think he's sincere?
You must have a Nathan Fletcher back where you're from.
Oh, I'm sure we do. Absolutely. I think it's all the politicians in Massachusetts. I just sidetracked me, man. Well, you brought something up, and I was going to go someplace, and I lost my track.
You didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express
I
last
did
night.
not.
You stayed at Town and Country because you went to gun prom.
I think I stayed at the
So
town.
watch this. What were you just talking about before we went to him?
So I think he knows it's a PR move.
It's total PR move. We already have this thing. It's called the PLCCAA. It's the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Acts that says that you cannot sue the manufacturer for illegal use. And then this is where the anti-gun wackos get into the whole, the guns aren't regulated and blah, blah, blah. And no, they are regulated. And you can sue a manufacturer if the gun doesn't work the way it's supposed to.
Right.
So when people take a lawful product and they go out and illegally use it or use it in a crime, it's not the object's fault, it's the person's fault. And I don't know if you guys have seen the meme. I saw this meme this past week, and it was the murderer from Uvalde and a picture of Kyle Rittenhouse. And on the top one, and it says on the top one we're blaming the gun, and on the bottom one with Rittenhouse we're blaming the person.
That's right.
And it's interesting how it's the same tool that these guys used, but in one we're going after the person, the other one we're going to go after the gun because they know they can't go after the person because he's now dead and he's got mental issues and all this other sort of stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Have you talked to Michael? Have you talked to some of the shop owners around here about that? Because I know a lot of the shop owners that I know are small business kind of people. It's not like they have big margins and they have a lot of money to play with and all that. Is this? You would think this would be pretty intimidating to a lot of the shops and ranges.
We haven't had any deep conversations yet. We're just starting to roll it out. I don't think a lot of them even know it yet. But you're right. Most of the shops in San Diego, I got to tell you, I've been all over California looking at gun shops and ranges. And San Diego is some really great shops. There's a lot of shops compared, but they're mom and pop shops. They're the owners behind the counter, and they don't have some big legal department. And you're right, they don't have the margins are slim, and they're getting slimmer, and the internet made that worse. So one lawsuit could easily put a shop owner out of business, frankly, and they know that, and they're hoping for that. And I don't know how this is all going to go, but
it's so my attitude is if when the politicians find out they can't come after guns specifically, they can't take them away, and we got the whole shall not be infringed and all that, then what they do is they find other things to make it more difficult. So the price of ammo will go up, or the availability of ammo will go up, and you can have one of these, but it's got to be restricted this way and this way, this way, and this is just another way that they can do it. And say, well, listen, the store manufacturer or the store owner that the person bought the gun from can now be held liable, so that's going to drive that person out of business, and then they're all going to go to another store and they're going to drive that one out of business, and it's just never going to end until, since they can't come after the guns, they'll come after everything else.
And that's exactly what's going on.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's and we'll get to the because we're expecting a Supreme Court ruling here shortly. We'll get to that later in the show. But it's the same kind of thing where they make these rulings, but then they either don't follow the rulings and nothing happens, or like Charlie was saying, they add stuff onto it to make it effectively not following the ruling. Basically, it's like, okay, people can buy firearms, but we'll just make it so expensive and so difficult to do this that it'll discourage most people from being able to do it, or some people just won't be able to. And it's unfortunate that there's not a good remedy or a way around that. I mean, there are some, but it's
nothing's fast.
Yeah,
it's going to take. Honestly, my hope is that we get this cleared up by the time I kick off. And I think that will. I think that we will. Our generation will have a significant impact on the way the right to keep and bear arms is.
Yeah, but how long has it been since they started trying to take our guns away? How far back?
I would say. What do you guys think? I would say like late '80s. But what do you guys think?
I mean, it depends on which push you're talking about. So,
Yeah,
exactly,
you have 1934, then you have 1938. Then
That
you have
was my point.
1961, 1968. I mean, there's been pushes and pushes, and there's all kinds of stuff buried that, people don't even realize and see. But the big one, I'd say 68 is where the big kickoff happens.
pick that up when we come back here.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.